Sup Digital Peeps, YouTube's mkgtweety, and how are we doing today? I'm going to make a family update today because we got some news about my mom's blood work and that we need to discuss it and how my dad's been doing since the last video, because if you saw my last video, I told you everything that was going on with my dad, and if you looked at the info box, I was making like real-time updates on my Instagram. So if you want to follow me on my second channel, it's instagram.com/mkgtweety. And that's where I post my hauls, I do vlogs, all that stuff. Here on YouTube, more on my main channel. And all my socials in the description box below. I have a Pinterest, Tumblr, Wattpad, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, under the moniker mkgtweety. When you come here to YouTube, it's mkgtweety. So there you go. This is diet iced tea mixed, and I put a bubbly lime in there because, so if I start burping, please excuse that. I'm filming this at 12:13 a.m. on 6/21/2025. So we'll begin. Because I just posted an Amazon haul over there on Instagram. So if you want to go check it out, show it some love. We'll start with my mom, then we'll go to my dad, then we'll go to me. So a couple weeks ago, my mom had gotten a blood drawn to check for her multiple myeloma, which is a treatable form of bone marrow cancer. And she's also dealing with bad knees. Like I said, your knees are like this, hers are like this, and you're wondering how she's still walking, standing. When it's very humid out, she's just in a lot of pain because the humidity is sucking the joints and all that kind of stuff. So my mom got her results, I think it was Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday. That would have been on the 18th. Yeah, 18th. And if cure rate's 100%, my mom was like 99.999999999%. Okay. Uh, she was at a 2.2. Now she's at a 3. So it went up a tenth of a point, her values, as they're calling them in her blood. And now we gotta have what they're calling putting the antennae on. Because now you gotta be like peeping. You gotta like, now we gotta like do some little bit of worrying. Okay, using spotoscope. And what that basically means is that now we're gonna have our antennae on. She doesn't need chemo as of now. A part of this multiple myeloma is that the values go up and down. So you could be high at one time and then come back down the next time. So we could take her blood again in 3 months and it could go back down. So she's like up like a tenth of a point, basically. So, it's not enough to warrant chemo at this time. She was getting chemo in 2023, yeah, because last year in August was a year she got, well, I would say August of this year to be 2 years since she got diagnosed. And then in September of this year it'd be 2 years since she had treatment. So she had treatment for a good like 6 months, and then she became what they call like in remission somewhat. So she's kind of in remission at this point. But she's up, like I said, she's up the tenth of a point. So we just want to have our antennae up and I just want to watch her now. And because she doesn't need chemo at this point, she's not high enough to say, hey, you have to come in for chemo as of yet. So if anything else changes, we'll let you know. We'll do all that. So that's what's going on with my mom at the moment. She's up a tenth of a point, but, it's just okay. Whatever. This is like, we want to start to be concerned, but not enough to be like, okay, we gotta, like I said, we gotta watch, have our antennae up, and we'll go from there. She still has her knee pain. Like I said, either your knees are like this, hers like this, and you're wondering how she's still walking, talking, and standing. Um, and, excuse me, I have to pull my nose to drink. Sometimes this heat just makes the nose run, and it just, yeah. We got some Buffalo Wild Wings, for dinner, Thursday, yeah, yesterday. And I had the Parmesan garlic bone. I had like 15 boneless Parmesan garlic. My mom had 6 mango habanero, but she had just like one bite. And I guess the chemo must have changed her taste buds because it was just like, ugh, I can't do this. I said, Mom, I said, you could wolf down mango habanero. She goes, I know. No, she can't. I guess sometimes chemo changes taste buds. And Daddy had, I think it was 15. I think it was, yeah. Or I forget how much it was. Yeah, I think it was like 15. He had spicy garlic wings, bone in. So, and then I got like a large onion rings for the family to share because we were in the mood for onion rings. So it was good, you know. Parmesan garlic, it's if you take Parmesan and garlic, but you add like a little drop of Frankie's Red Hot sauce in there, that's what it tastes like, and that's about all I can handle. So I'm not into like the ghosty and the habanero side of it. My dad is, but not me. Um. Anyway, so other than that, my mom is doing wonderful. Besides, like I said, we gotta have her antennae up because remember she's starting to go up, but not enough to warrant. They said a lot of this disease is you'll go up one time and then come back down. So, and my mother was stage 1 when she found out she had it. So she was going for, like I said, weight loss surgery. And when you have weight loss surgery, you're gonna have all these tests. She was having endoscopy and the blood tests, and that's how they found out. Through that blood test, if her levels had gone up to the point where needed chemo go. So she didn't lose her hair. It was like a shot. It was like a shot that goes, yeah. She has thinning of the hair, so there's like a little spot in the back of her head where she's thinning, but it's like you could you'd never know once the comb over and all that's done. So now we're going to my dad, because when I last talked to you, my dad had his back surgery. When he got his back surgery, he was in the hospital for a couple of days, and then he went to a rehab hospital, which was in a place called Swissvale, PA, which we have in the greater Pittsburgh area. I live 30 minutes outside of Pittsburgh. That's why you don't need to know. But that's where I generally live, 30 minutes outside. Um, he was, we have sections. And Swissvale is the Jewish section. You might have heard of it because of the Tree of Life shooting happened there. So I kind of knew where some of that stuff was. I don't go to Swissvale that often, but my dad would go there. Swissvale Music was out there because he's a drummer. And, he got to get his drum on and his music, his, his music toyland thing going on. The music stores out there and stuff. And it's like the Jewish section. And then we have like a section where the Italians are, where the Polacks are. I'm actually Polak. My dad's father was Polish. My dad's mother was Slovakian, Slavish, whatever you want to say. My mom's mother, her side, my Gigi, my great grandmother, her mother, my mom's grandma, she was like Russian, Ukraine, all that. And then on my dad's side, his mother was not only Slav but like a little bit of Hungarian and stuff like that. And then uh, my mom's father was German. So I'm Eastern European, like across the board. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, uh, And, he was in Swissvale at a place called Heritage Rehab Hospital. It was a nursing home and rehab hospital. Rehabilitation, but everyone knows it as rehab. Saying, I'm going to rehab, I got a drug problem, kind of stuff. And this was to help people who've bounced back from strokes, illnesses, and all this kind of stuff. And he was there for about a week or so, week or two, something like that. And he did fairly well, so he was able to come home. And then he has a Craftmatic adjustable bed. I'll show you. As you can see right there. You can see the Craftmatic adjustable bed. And it goes up and down, and then the legs can go up and down, and then it both, you know. So he'll have that for still a little bit whiles and all that. He's upstairs chillaxing with my mom a little bit. And then he'll come back down later and he'll lie there and go to sleep and all that. He's having PT, physical therapy, and OT, occupational therapy, come twice a week. So some lovely, lovely lady named Rachel comes in on Tuesdays, and then Thursdays, I forget what the other name is. And she comes in on Thursdays. And she's very, 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 both of those ladies, they work for a company that does in-home nursing and rehab stuff for people. And so they're here for my dad. And he's getting a little frustrated because even though he is bouncing back, he thought he would be a little more ahead of the curve, as people say, like, oh, okay, I started here. Now I want to be a little more towards 100. And he's I said, Dad, these things take time to bounce back from and all this kind of stuff. And okay, whatever. Like, his balance is good one day and then the next day it's not. So it takes a while for you to kind of bounce back from these things, because they say another 3 to 6 months of rehab, like the PT and the OT that my dad's doing and all this. And, he's doing fairly well on steps. He's using a walker to get around everywhere. And his cane, like when we go to the store, he has to use a motorized cart. Beep, 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 And or yesterday, it was Thursday, yeah. We were at Lowe's and I was getting some stuff for my mom plant-wise. Because we were going to Home Depot, but they weren't going to have everything my mom wanted, so, Anyway, so there's that. And then I know on the 27th of this month, which is next week, I believe, he's going to go see the back doctor, because right here on the side, like in the back here, like this part of you back here, somewhere around here, he's experiencing, like, every so often there's pain. And he wants to get it checked out. And they said, okay, well, go to your normal doctor. So he went to his normal PCP, primary care physician. And they said, well, I think you need to go back to your back doctor. So, and I've seen his scar. It looks gnarly. It's pretty cool. There's still, like, there's dried blood on it, like on the upper half. He has a 12-inch scar. And you can plainly see it when he, like, takes off his shirt and stuff. And, it looks pretty gnarly, like there's some dried blood at the top, but it's getting better as the days and months go on, as he's recovering. He uses he likes to use his bed for sleeping, and like I said, he likes it. The mattress upstairs is like a little too hard for him since he had his surgery, and he's using this because it's a nice soft pillowy mattress for him, so until he can feel better, then he'll go. And then once we know we're better and we don't need the bed anymore, we'll go upstairs and he'll go sleep up there. Like, he'll spend some couple of hours with my mom, then he'll come back down and all this kind of stuff. So he's I mean, he's getting there, but he thought he'd be further along by now. That's probably what I'm getting at. And I kept telling him that. I said, take time to, when you're coming back from a surgery like that or injury, things take time to heal and to get better and to, you know, right. So, okay. Um, Now we'll get to me because I know that's why you're here. You want to know how I'm doing. Oh, excuse me. Ah, So I've gotten back into the swing of exercising. As you know, we're on a health and fitness journey. I got type 2 diabetes. I got diagnosed last year in February. And it was a wake up call. It was a little bit of a shock to me and my mom and my dad. My dad has the disease as well. He got it in his late 50s and he just turned 75 in April 26th. So he was actually in the hospital on his birthday. So, and my Father's Day, well, side note, we'll go back to Father's Day, was lovely. He loved his cards that he got him. Like, it was like this, had to do with like all the noises Dad makes, when you fart, when you burp, all this kind of stuff. And I said, yeah, you're just a one-man band, Dad, when you open it up. And my mom's like, and my mom's card was like, yeah, I have, it's like, but I already have a great stud muffin when you open it up and all this kind of stuff. So, you know, I mean, my mom loves him. He's been a great dad all these years. I've never felt like some celebrities' kids, like one of Rod Stewart's kids. He's like, oh, he was never there for me. I go, he was working to provide for you, your kids. And he's trying to say, oh, I'm left out because my dad always left me to go on tour. Well, because how is he going to make money to support you children? My dad played in a band back in the day when I was born. He was in Vegas playing for the Peaches and Harp. Literally, I'm not kidding when I say this. 100% true. He was in Vegas. He was like their opening act, like his band, Shaker, at the time. And then became like their band. And, I was born in 83. He flew from Vegas to Pittsburgh to go be with my mom, to go have me stay with my mom for about a week. Flew back from Pittsburgh to Vegas because he had to make the moolah because now he had an infant and a wife at home. And he had to make the moolah. You know? He made it work. I don't understand why anybody else can't make it work. Like, and look, and I try not to be my dad, I used to roadie for my dad. My dad left the Vogues last year. Problems brewing. Things he just wasn't happy with anymore. Fighting. That's all I'll say. That's all I can say. That's all I will say. I won't get into specifics, but, you know. And, he left last year. And he was like, bye, Felicia. And he just, like, up and left. So, I heard he has a new drummer now. So, don't know who it is, but, I know he got somebody. Never heard of the guy, but okay. Um, anyway, and my dad's like itching to like bring his kit out and bring it into the living room and like start to play and everything because when he was in his, he couldn't move his feet right. Well, he's getting his feet done like as fast as he used to. Like that's starting to come back now, and all this. And it's just, like he's just mad he's not, he thought to be more far along at this point than from, and I said, Dad, I said, it's going to take time. And, he's just, yeah, I know. It's just bumping him out a little bit, which happens to all of us. You're here, and then you get to an injury, and you thought, well, I thought it'd be further along in my PT and OT and all this kind of. But yeah. Um. Anyway, so I'll tell you what I do for exercise. I use. Oops, sorry. I do this, which is Leslie Stone's Walk Off the Pounds. It's a 3 mile. It's 45 minutes, and you go 3 miles. If you can do lifts, knee lifts, kicks, side steps, and march in place, you can do this better. This is so easy to follow. I come out hot and sweaty every single time I do this. And then in between, like say like I'll walk one day, like I'll do this, say like on a Monday. And then Tuesday I'll either tone with this. I have these, my 5 pound weights. I have gloves. See, look, I'll show you. So I have like a glove that I'll use to hold on to the weight so I'm not. And I do, I'll do like a toning video that I found on YouTube. Or I'll do, Richard Simmons, tone it uptown, tone it downtown, which I just did yesterday. Toning my muscles. Because, you know, you gotta keep, you know. That's probably one of the best toning videos ever. Tone it uptown, tone it downtown by Richard Simmons. If you look it up on YouTube, there is, someone posted it on YouTube and I use it. I was like, oh, is this up here? Because I had it on tape on VHS with Dance Your Pants Off. And I'm like, well, okay. So I have it saved in bookmarks and I, you know, do my, all this. Yeah, oh, it's great. It's great. He picks the best songs to work out to. I will say that much. I have to point it again. And then I started doing, and I was like, well, okay, I'm going to challenge myself. Because I had Sweat Into the Oldies 2 and Sweat Into the Oldies 3. And my mom also had Dance Your Pants Off. And that came out like in like 96. And I'm watching some of the old stuff. You know, I didn't know it came out with like Disco Sweat afterwards. I'm thinking, you made that in 94? I'm like, okay. And I watched Party Off the Pounds. I saw that on YouTube. I was just watching it. I just wanted to know what it was about. And then it was a house party. And that came out like roughly like 98, something like that. But I'm like, well, okay. In between, you know, of me walking, I'm going to do, you know, Sweat Into the Oldies 2, Sweat Into the Oldies 3, Dance Your Pants Off. Because I used to do those back in the day. You know, I just kind of, I was like, I would do it for so long and then I'd get unmotivated. And then it was like I wouldn't do it anymore. You know, and then I'd pick back up again and it was just like this cycle. And now I have to do it all the time because of my type 2 diabetes. And I actually have a medical condition that causes me to gain weight. So this wasn't like, you know, and it really was a wake up call. Like I said, you know, it was like it took a blood test and a doctor to wake my ass up. And I'm on metformin, 500 milligrams extended release because I can't do the regular stuff because, oh, excuse me, that must be in my throat. Yeah. I'll have my water. Mm. Okay, there we are. That's better. It's my Baba tumbler, as you can see. 48 ounces of delicious water goes in here, and I drink this whole thing like almost like every day, especially when I work out. I try to drink up to here. I like usually like go down to here when I, you know, so I work out and everything. I don't do Gatorade and all that. My dad likes to. He did for days, but I tend to do just water afterwards. So, um, and so I like been finding copies on, you know, doing Damn Your Pants Off and Sweat Days 2 and 3. And I'm thinking, well, I'm going to do these because, like, I like remember, you know. I want to see if I was able to keep up with them. I was sweating by the end. I was huffing and puffing. But, we're. Oh, and he always chooses, like, great songs to choose from. And I'm thinking of getting the collection, which is, like, all five, because he has Sweat Into the Oldies, like, 4 and 5. And 4 was a video called Sweat and Shout. So it was like. He did it right before he did Sweat Into the Oldies 1. Well, it was a video before that. And I thought, well, that should have been, you know. And then he did Sweat Into the Oldies 5, which I didn't know about until recently. And I thought, well, okay, I'll get the collection and, well, you know. And I've always loved him as, you know, like a fitness guru. Um, he, uh, he always made exercising fun. He didn't make it demeaning. He didn't make, you know, he was like, you can do this, you're doing great, you know, you're doing all this stuff. And it's really like her and Lexi Sanson. She really, like, I have a couple of her 3 mile videos, but that one that I showed you is my favorite to do. So, like I said, if you can march in place, if you can do kicks, knee lifts, and side steps, you can do this program. It's nice and easy to follow, and it's very low impact. Because if you're coming back from, say, like a knee injury or something, you can keep, in the video I showed you, you can keep it soft. Instead of doing it, instead of being like this way, you can just do it this way and not be so forceful and all this kind of stuff. Um, let's see, what else? Like like I said, I watch, I had my diabetic retina scan on the 20th, which was Thursday, or Friday, excuse me. It's technically Saturday. And what they do is they put you in a room for 10-15 minutes. It's a dark room. And they do this machine, and they go to your right eye first. And it, like, if you took a flashlight, turned it on and off, like, real quick like that. That's what it feels like. And then they go, because your blood sugar also affects the eyeballs. Diabetes can affect type 1 or type 2. Can affect your eyes. And I have to have it done every year now. So this is the second time I had it done. And they said I did very well with the exam. And then after that, I went to the pharmacy, which is in a grocery store. It's called Giant Eagle, which is like, it's in this, like the shopping mall. I was in this, where I had my eyes done, it was this primary care place in the shopping mall. And they do it every Thursday morning and every Friday afternoon. So, so that's when you have to schedule it. And then I had my mammogram done. I had that done on it was May 13th, I think it was. Yeah. I am cancer-free, by the way. I had my mammogram done. I'm cancer-free. I have dense breasts, though. And they said, oh, we want you to come in for a breast MRI. And I was like, you don't need that. You have dense breasts like me. She says, if the doc, who I have the same doc as my mother, her name is Dr. Lynn Potts. She's my PCP, and she's also my mom's PCP, primary care physician. And she says, unless Potts tells you to get one, then don't do it. Unless the doc tells you to get one, you don't need one. So, yay, because we're taking charge of our health. And, I think girls out there should have their breasts looked at, especially if you have a family history. Make sure you're getting tested. Make sure, you're having regular mammograms. If you feel something's not right, bring it up to the doc or get it looked at. If you're noticing changes that you just notice, get it checked out. That's all I'll say to you. So I'll let you know how my diabetic retina exam. Well, my dad has to get them too, because of his diabetes as well. When you're fat and happy, that's what it was. But I would see myself in pictures, and just like, wow, I got so fat. I had that apron of skin, like you could just see it. And now I don't have that. I dropped 2 dress sizes last year. I went from a 3X to a 1X. And I'm looking and feeling much better. I'm a lot happier with myself now. Because when you have to put yourself first. Trust me. If there's anything, if you're overweight and you're struggling with it, if you go on YouTube and type Project Me, Richard Simmons, someone's uploaded the whole thing. He's made like this. My mom used to have it, and I used to listen to the tapes back in the day. It's this 21 sentence, and he goes through all these things of why, you're overweight. Is it what's causing you to have an addiction with food? What's causing you to, all this kind of stuff. It was like back then when he made deal with me on stuff. If they had that out now, I would totally do that. I would just try it out, just to see if I could keep up with it and all that. But anyway, I'm gonna go do the peeps. I'm doing great. Like I said, I'm doing fine. I'm wonderful. I'm happy and healthy. If you want to follow me, like I said, on my second channel, it's at Instagram, instagram.com/mkgtweety. So that's where I have more up-to-date stuff. So I have Pinterest, Tumblr, Wattpad, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Twitter, all of them on mkgtweety. You can come find me there. I just celebrated 8 years on Twitter. Here you can see that tweet. If you go to my Twitter. And I have a new post up at Tumblr. It's chocolate tiramisu. So I'll put it in the description box below if you want to check it out. Show it some love. If you want a good summery dessert, it's made with ladyfingers. And it has like this pudding mousse type mixture inside, and there's chocolate syrup in between the layers. Delicious. Made the right. Well, I like come up with it. I just like made the dessert one day. Like I said, well, I have this and this and this, and I just kind of like did it together. And I was like, oh, we'll call it chocolate tiramisu, but there's no mascarpone cheese in it. You know, like the way regular tiramisu is and stuff. But I'll put that link in the description box. You can go check it out. Show my Tumblr some love. So yeah, so there it is. So that's what's going on, digital peeps. With me, my mom, my dad. Like I said, if anything changes, we'll let you know. But I'll smell you later, digital peeps. Bye, love a lippy, bye.